Whenever getting a new monitor, you want to make sure you test it outside so you see how it glares in the sun. I guess I need a new one now. Well, good thing we're at Micro Center. Oh man, so that's what monitors are made out of. All right, let's go in and get a new monitor. When you're here, you can actually see how tall you are compared to Shaquille O'Neal. Hey Dan, nice to meet you again.
Good to see you again, Alex.
You got a ton of monitors. Tell me about the best ones right now. I want a good monitor.
I mean, what are you trying to do?
So this is for programming, which is what I do most. I gotta say, I'm immediately drawn to like the really wide screens, but I'm not sure if that's the way to go.
It has its benefits. If you're used to having like dual monitor setups, it can do picture by picture, so you can actually have two sources to it. You can use the same computer on it and convert it to two monitors basically. Like break it down as you usually would.
Yeah, kind of like down the middle, 227 inches.
Down the middle, exactly.
So I recently had an unpleasant experience with a curved monitor. I put it down on the corner.
Yeah. Did you step on it?
No, I didn't step on it, but the weight of it kind of made a bunch of pixels go dead, like the whole side of it, which just went dead.
Wow, I've been doing my monitors wrong.
You know what? Let me try this thing out. I just want to see how my computer looks on this thing. All right. That's already worth it right there. Optimized for Odyssey. Boom. Oh, this is kind of cool actually. 5120 by 1440 over here. I can have my coding window. Whoa, this is for Java classes. Let's say I have my code window on this side. I have another code window in the middle. We have so many tools inside our code editors even. We have Copilot Editor on the right, your directories on the left. You can have multiple code windows in the middle. Wow, that is really cozy and comfortable. 3 code windows right there. You can see all your code, Copilot, browsing. That's really cool.
Yeah.
I can see the appeal, but there's some downsides to this thing. You gotta be really careful with this, right? Don't put it down on the forehead.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, let's try this gaming monitor here. This is LG, it's a 4K 32 inch. So we're going for a larger size and a higher refresh rate. 600 bucks. I guess that's kind of standard for that kind of display. LG Ultra Gear. This is actually at the top limit for the size that I want. I scaled it to 2560 by 1440. That feels natural. If it feels natural, that means I'm getting old. Larger size, right? Larger refresh rate. On paper, kind of better, but I'm thinking, what's the benefit here?
I mean, if you're coding, there's not really a benefit to the high refresh rate. It just feels smoother.
Can I notice it though? Like, I'm going like this, right?
It's not really necessarily something that benefits you. Like, if you're gaming, sure, yeah, that little movement there, that'll be a world of a difference. But if you're not really gaming, it's not necessarily something that I would spend more money for if I was like primarily just coding. It's cool to have, but does it benefit you? No.
You know, 144 sounds nice, like it's more, right?
Yeah.
Higher refresh rate, it's supposedly better, but you're looking at code. This is what you're looking at, and you're typing text on the screen. So what's the difference?
Nothing.
I don't know. I'm sure some people in the comments will argue with me on this one, but I'm gonna say that the priority here is gonna be larger size for the screen and higher Ks. So there's like the Ps and the Ks. Ks are approximate values from what I understand. Correct me if I'm wrong here. So 4K is like 4,000 pixels, 4 kilopixels across, but it's not actually, it's like an approximate range. Whereas the Ps, if you go 1440p, that's how many pixels the height of the screen is actually. So I think this looks kind of nice, but I was also considering how close I'll be sitting.
32 is decent, but if it was like a little shorter, that'd be even better, so it's less movement, you know, looking up and down.
This one does come with a stand and goes up and down nicely.
Yeah, or you can vase mount.
And tilt it. I like the vase mount option for sure. That's what I do on my desk.
One of the big like conversation points I have with people when it comes to monitors is gonna be panel types. OLED monitors, IPS monitors, VA panel monitors. If I was going for like a very intensive, like just nice gaming monitor or content creation, then I'd probably go the OLED route. IPS is also very solid for both of those things.
So for color reproduction, IPS is really good?
IPS is pretty solid. VA I generally try to avoid. TN has its benefits in that you can get like a very fast refresh rate, but that's for like a very niche category, either like super competitive esports gamers.
Okay.
If we're talking about someone who's doing something like what you're doing, code. You don't need to spend the extra hundreds of dollars to get an OLED.
I agree with you. I don't think it matters for coding because even in dark mode, you're using mostly gray. You're not even going down to that black.
At the end of the day, if your wallet says okay, then by all means treat yourself to something nice. I mean, I have OLED monitors myself. There's really nothing like it. But if your goal is to just code, you don't need to justify spending that extra amount of money. There are plenty of places we could put that money, like probably into better hardware, I would imagine.
What do you have at home, monitor-wise?
I actually use an LG TV. I use they made a 42-inch one that like bends. I like having a big screen in front of me personally. That's why I went with a TV. Otherwise, I think that like a 27 to 32-inch monitor is pretty ideal, especially 32-inch. Just talking about OLED, we might as well look at the best looking OLED.
I like that. Let's look at an OLED one.
This guy.
$1,000, ASUS ROG Swift 4K gaming monitor, 240 hertz.
That's right. I actually have this monitor at home as well. I actually gave it to my little brother because believe it or not, the screen was too small for me. That's the thing. Once you're looking at a big screen all the time, it's hard to really go down.
You kidding me? 32 inches.
It's too small for me now. It has all the bells and whistles. I mean, it's QD OLED, so it's got that extra quantum dot layer, giving you just a brighter feel overall. On top of that, newer ways of mitigating burn-in, so it's gonna last you longer.
I always like the ones where the plug is on the back, just right here. So much easier.
See, that's what I like about my LG TV. Everything's on the side.
This thing is really thin.
Yes.
I'm amazed. Look how thin that is. That is crazy.
Very easily base mountable as well.
I love that.
This one is using Samsung's QD OLED panel, but I do generally trust ASUS a bit more when it comes to quality control there. Also has Dolby Vision, so if you are gonna be consuming any sort of media, it is just gonna tick all the boxes.
Yeah.
No speakers, sadly.
I think the Apple display has 6 speakers on it, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
but you know, that's a whole different story though.
That's Apple.
That's Apple.
Apple knows how to take care of its people.
I like this. This is nice. Like the scaling, you can mess around with it. It looks pretty clean. I'm just trying to figure out how far I would need to sit away from this, right? To have a decent experience so it's not overbearing.
I'd say right where you are right now is pretty typical.
I got 3 windows. It's a little bit tight. Maybe I can increase a little bit of space here for the code. I wish I had a little bit more room for Copilot edits, but I also don't need to have 3 panels of code open. 2 is pretty comfortable here on this one. I like it. This is getting a little bit too small. Let's see what this looks like if I change the display settings a bit here. I can work with this right here. This is comfortable for me.
Much more comfortable for me too.
But also, you know, there's the flexibility, which is why I really like the high resolution screens.
Yes.
You got the flexibility. You can go larger and smaller just by doing this. So I'm doing Command minus Command plus, and if I need a little bit more room, I just do that. When I was 20, I could probably do this, and when I was 30, I could probably do this, and now I'm somewhere around here, I think. I'm gonna try to plug this back in so you don't have to. This is tricky right here.
Yeah.
And I wish that ASUS would make their ports somewhere else.
I wish most vendors were like the side connections. There we go.
I love being able to look at monitors right here in the store. Just being able to compare the 4K with the 1440, for example, side by side, so you can actually get a feel for it. Now, I know I'm pretty lucky to have a couple of Micro Centers near me, and they're opening up more and more stores. I heard your comments. I know you kind of wish you had one in your area too. The news is that Santa Clara is opening up a new store in Santa Clara. And I remember when this store opened up back in 2008, I came in here, I was so happy. I got a 2 GB thumb drive. It was like, whoa, amazing. Well, if you go and sign up for early access to Santa Clara, you get 128 GB on a little thumb drive for free. So check that out. So I gotta say, the Apple Studio display.
Probably one of the best looking displays when it comes to anything productivity wise. It is a much lower refresh rate. We don't need to care about that. Also, you're primarily a Mac user. You're gonna have the most pleasant experience there by far.
What do you think about how it's gonna look on a PC?
It'll look okay. I would say if you're sticking to code, it probably won't make the biggest difference in the world.
Okay.
We can go to our Apple section right now. If I have the Studio on display. Oh, yes, I do. It's just nothing like it.
This is OLED or no?
No. I don't believe these are OLED,
It's not OLED, but the blacks are so black.
Right.
You know what? After looking at the 32-inch, this looks a little small. But I think on my desk,
it would make more sense.
It might be okay. It might be okay.
Yeah, like I said before, it's less head movement for you too. You just mentioned the biggest reason I could never leave my TV. I looked at something big and I could never look at something smaller again.
Yeah, I mean, you know what they say, don't leave that comment. Don't leave it. I know you want to, but don't leave it.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at how crisp that text is. 5K makes a big difference, and I want to take this thing home. I'm gonna take it home and compare it to my ASUS 5K. This price is actually for this monitor is pretty good. It's still pricey, but this is cheaper than the Apple Store. Apple Store has this thing right now for $15.99, and this is more than $100 off. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Definitely.
Security, nice. Yes, stop that thief. I'm just kidding. It's just a tripped alarm. Micro Center sponsored this video, obviously, and I want to thank them for that, but I got to read something to y'all. Priority Care Plus is a new program that they're launching, and it gives you peace of mind for all your devices, no matter where you purchase them. So you could have purchased them anywhere else, right? So you can sign up for Priority Care Plus and have unlimited access to Micro Center's tech experts and free diagnostics. Free diagnostics. More information will be listed down below, so check it out. March is Monitor Madness at Micro Center, so go check it out. It's a pretty big box for such a small monitor. Just kidding, it's not that small. I mean, the monitor. This is the 27-inch monitor that I've been using probably for about, I don't know, like 6 or 7 years at this point. It's an LG, and I really like this because it's so easy to hook up. Check it out. The plugs are right on the back, which means you don't have to hunt for them underneath. And I had 2 of these set up side by side, and now I have this ASUS ProArt 5K monitor, so it's a 27-inch as well. It's not cheap either. It's $800 for this thing, but it's half the price of the Studio Display. And today I want to find out if this thing is worth it, or is the Studio Display better? I don't know. Which one is better? Leave a comment down below if you've tried any of these. This one is a bit harder to hook up though. You have to kind of feel around for the holes. Apple never lets me use my knife. I really like my knife, but these days everything is pull tab. Oh yeah. Very nice presentation. More pull tabs. You know, you use 27-inch monitors at 60 hertz and you kind of get used to it. Pretty much most of my monitors are 16:9 aspect ratio, including now the Studio Display. I have a BenQ monitor, which I've shown on the channel. There's a video, I'll link to it down below. That's got a 16:10 aspect ratio, and it's actually pretty nice for coding. You can arrange your windows a little bit better. The spacing somehow works out a little bit better. It may be subjective, I don't know. What do you think? And as far as the 5K resolution and why I prefer it, you might have seen this one in my videos. This is the 2014 iMac 5K, the first of its kind, the first 5K display. And the first time I tried this, I was blown away. Now it is 500 nits, not the brightest that you can get in a monitor these days. It's 60 hertz. Not the fastest refresh rate, but let me tell you that resolution, mwah. What else do you get here? A nice cable, and I think that's it. The rest is packaging. Power cable attached to the back here. Now, it wasn't until I tried 144 hertz gaming monitor and of course the MacBook Pro displays when they started having ProMotion that I really got to experience. Either I'm too dumb for this or Apple gave me, I was too dumb. Never mind. I thought I had an opportunity to use my knife. It wasn't until I tried ProMotion that I really got a sense of what it's like to have display that refreshes at 100+ hertz. It's smoother. It's noticeably smoother. And that's why the brand new MacBook Airs, even with the M4 chip, are still at 60 hertz, and that kind of annoys a few people. Yeah, myself included, I guess. Apple kind of has to keep that separation between the Pro line and the Air line. And that's, I mean, they gotta do what they gotta do, right? Now, even though for regular use, the high refresh rate is pretty good. Well, for gaming too, of course. Ooh. I didn't know unboxing this was gonna be such a experience. The fact that they hid all the buttons here, it just looks like a giant black slab, makes it look really nice. There's a few things you can probably immediately tell, well, other than the fact that this is branded, so is this one, but this one is not. The reflectivity. I have a light in the corner of my office over there, and there it is, right there in the reflection. This is highly, highly reflective. You can probably see me. Hey. The ASUS one has a matte coating, so everything is kind of diffuse. There's that light over there. Some people like one way, some people like the other way. What do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. Maybe I'll do a video separately just for that, but that's a very big difference right there. Now, what I do appreciate is an internal power supply. Both of these have that. The older monitors that I have don't. The LG has a white brick that's attached to it, so that's kind of annoying. I want to do a side-by-side on a Mac, and then I want to test Windows too. The only connection type here is Thunderbolt and USB-C. That's kind of a bummer for a $1,500 monitor. I mean, it's gonna work with Apple just fine, but for PCs, it probably doesn't bode so well. Whereas on ASUS, you've got, of course, your HDMI, your display port, your USB-C, another USB-C, and 2 USB-A connections and a headphone jack. Is there a headphone jack here? No. But the Apple one does have a chip inside of it that does something. I just want it to be a monitor. I just want it to show me good colors, good text in high resolution. It does have a camera and speakers, could be useful, especially if you're plugging it into something like a Mac Mini. These have terrible speakers on them, so having bigger speakers is better. Computer's turning on, boom. This one is a little bit delayed. It's definitely the anti-glare coating here that's making it look a little bit more muted. The colors here are obviously really, really sharp. I don't think that's something I would even notice after using this maybe for a little bit though. Now that I'm on the desktop, they both look really nice. This one does have slightly deeper blacks. Both 60 Hertz, and to be honest with you, it doesn't bother me at all. Especially when you have some code open and you're just typing away. I think it's pretty clear from this that you do get deeper blacks over here, but the ASUS has a little bit more brightness to go. Let's turn it up because why not? See what it's capable of. There's no buttons for adjustment on this monitor at all.
In a fashion that resonated with a lot of folks akin to what you see in the movie Her, or just something that brings us closer to actually having lifelike conversations with an AI. Now, they have gone ahead and released
the speakers on this are incredible. Oh, wow. So if you're using anything like the Mac Studio or desktop computer with no audio or a Mac Mini, this is going to blow you away. The speakers on this thing, wow. You don't even need extra speakers on your desk. I can see the appeal here. I have to admit, I never thought that I would want my monitor to have speakers in it, nor did I ever care about that. But now that I'm seeing it and seeing what circumstances it'll work in, this is good.
Actually go ahead and download, play with, and run locally. Now, first and foremost, I am going to be testing this on a laptop.
This one also has speakers.
8 gigabytes of video RAM, and in my testing local hardware,
let's switch it to studio display speakers.
24 gigabyte card. Now, a quick glance at the actual GitHub repository here that we will go ahead and get started by running.
By the way, Bijan Bowen, check out his channel. It's some really good AI testing stuff going on there. Now here's the 4K monitor that I've been using all along, and I've set all three of these, 5K, 5K, 4K, to basically look the same, right? Because of scaling. These two are set at default resolutions. So right now they're doing a 2x because they're 5K, and that works very well with Mac OS. Basically, there's a perfect amount of pixels that fit without having to do much work. Whereas this one, the 4K monitor, it's not set to default resolution, so it has to scale, and therefore it's exerting more power, more energy. I've done a video where I compare performance based on monitors and scaling and all that. But I wouldn't say this is unusable. In fact, I've been using this for many years and it works quite well. It's just that this looks so much crisper, and this too. My hand is in the way, so. Here's a really close-up shot thanks to my iPhone. This is the 4K display. And just take a look at the text and how it renders. You can see little jaggedy edges there. And here's the Studio Display 5K. You can see that the text is a lot smoother and it's pretty noticeable after a while. The ASUS 5K looks pretty good too. Here they all are side by side, and you can definitely tell the pixelation on the 4K display. Now let's see how these monitors do with a PC. And when we want to go to the PC, immediately there is a problem. For the Studio Display, that is. This is a brand new PC that Micro Center actually built for me last month. Check out the video, I'll link to it down below. It's a AI powerhouse. Oh, and you can see we've got DisplayPort. The 4090 that's in here has 4 DisplayPort outputs. It all depends on the outputs that you have, of course, but this video card and this motherboard don't have either HDMI or Thunderbolt, so I can't use this computer with the Studio Display. What? So not only price, but that's another bonus point for the ASUS. Let's get a computer that could work. This is the GMK Tech mini PC called the K8 Plus, and it can support up to 4 displays externally, and it has a USB 4 plug right there, which should be compatible with Thunderbolt going out to that. So I'm gonna use this DisplayPort connection for the ASUS and hope for the best with that USB 4 connection. Okay, everything's plugged in. Let's see. Okay, Getting a little worried about that studio display. Well, we got one output, and that's the display port going out to the ASUS. ASUS, nice job for the cross-platform compatibility and price. Starting to feel like an idiot with this one. I mean, it's beautiful for the Mac ecosystem, but only Mac ecosystem, it looks like. Let me try this USB 4 port on the front here. Oh, well, that just popped on as soon as I logged in. I don't know what the delay was about, but it works. They both work. Okay. I mean, these both look kind of beautiful on Windows. We're at 200 scaling right now. If we go to 100 scaling, whoa, look at that. Oh, wow. So much stuff can fit on this. 200 is recommended. I think I'm gonna go for 150, and then the display resolution is set to 5K. So you definitely need Thunderbolt or USB 4 compatible device in order to output the signal to the monitor, to the studio display that is, which I think deserves a win for the ASUS this time around. And as I'm looking at this code right here, I think it'll be kind of distracting to have any kind of backlight. Trying to read the screen, I mean, it's gorgeous. It's got blacks, it's got really high contrast, which looks really nice, easy to read the code. But this one, those reflections are not getting in my way as much. So here's a close-up view with the iPhone. This, folks, looks pretty decent. I would say it's about 4K levels decent, because look how I've shrunk down the scaling of Visual Studio Code. Look at that. You would never use it this way, but even when I shrunk it down this much, the 5K resolution handles it so well. Of course, I would never do that. I would probably something like this would be more comfortable to work at. But the point is that with a 5K display, you have the option to zoom out so much, give yourself so much more real estate, and at every single level of scaling, it's gonna look good. So, did I make the right purchasing decision with the studio display? I think the flexibility for what I do is not exactly there. If you're a Mac only user, then this is gonna be the best option. Of course, it's gonna be twice the price, but the ASUS one is a really nice deal for half the price. Almost the same kind of capability. Don't try listening to speakers on it. If you're gaming, none of these are for you because they're only 60 Hertz. I would say go higher. But for color accuracy reproduction, for scaling and for resolution, both of these are really good monitors. If you're a PC user, you're kind of taking your chance if you're gonna get the studio display. So maybe the ASUS one is the better one for you. Anyway, thanks for watching this video, and thanks to Micro Center for sponsoring this. I will see you all in the next one. Have a good one.